Hey coaches, welcome back to Football Talk with Coach Chip on the old YouTube. This is the second video of the series I'm doing on inside runs. They'll be in a playlist. You can find them all bunched up together. I've got them scheduled to come out about the same time. All three of these videos, the trap, this one is on the gut, what I call the gut. A lot of the guys that follow Kenny Simpson's gun T version call it the belly. Some coaches call it the one back power. Some call it it's really like power without a kick out. You're using your tackle or your tight end to turn out on the D end. But they got different names for it. But we call it gut, and you see it right here in the bottom left corner of the title card. This is gut right, and you see it's just a tight wrap. Some call it one back power. Some call it whatever. But it's a good A gap run, and it goes along with the podcast that I did it was released on August 10th, and it's all about the run game. Go over there and check out the podcast if you will. Like I said, this one has to do with the gut. All right, let's pay a few bills before we get going. I'll try to be quick as I can be so you can get to it, because I know a lot of you are in a hurry to get things done. Okay, having a system isn't just important, it's essential when building a successful offensive strategy. You don't want to be grab bagging. You don't just have a collection of plays. You want it to be systematic. So you have answers. The gun power spread system has answers. It has way more answers than you'll probably have questions. And it's way too much for you to do in any one season. But going from season to season, the stuff syncs up with each other. So, hey, this year we got a quarterback who can run with it. So we're going to run reads using the same plays that we used last year when we had a passing quarterback and we ran RPOs. It's all in the system. So, and it gets updated. It's $100, but here's two things I believe in. I believe in the integrity of football coaches, and I believe in the power of this system. I believe that most of you, when you look at it, and it's been the case, 99% of the people that have bought or asked for the system have bought the system. And I believe if you don't want it, you're going to delete it from your device. But I believe, like I said, 99% of y'all, you're going to go, man, this is good stuff. I mean, this is a steal for $100. By the way, you can get all four of my premium resources for $150. They would go for $210 if you bought them individually. I'm just trying to get stuff in coaches' hands. And I charge to justify the time. It costs me, most important thing we have is time. I compare it to my coaching supplement when I was actively coaching during those 40 years. It never was worth, the money was never worth the time I put into it. But it kind of justified the time I spent doing it. And that's why. It wasn't just the time putting it together. It was the time learning it. And, and I started learning football when I started playing in 1972. I've been coaching since the mid-'80s. And so all that goes into it as well. And that's why I charge it, and plus if I gave it away, people wouldn't even appreciate it. So hit me up at siegel.chip@gmail.com and say, hey coach, I want to try it out. I'll send it to you. Okay. If you like it, you pay me and we're good. And that's all I can ask. Also, we've got the offensive line manual, I've sold hundreds of these through either Amazon where it's $29.99 or directly from me where it's $30. I charge a penny more because I need the money more than Bezos does. But if you're just dead set on buying it from Amazon, go right ahead. I don't care. But when you do, make sure you take a screenshot of the order. Okay, so I can send you the ebook, because the ebook is the same information. The format's a little bit different because I had to format it to get it in paperback. But the ebook is a Google slide, which means the same thing as PowerPoint. So you can take it and present it to your kids and say, okay, and teach them. And like if you're going to put in a drill from the book, you can show them the drill before you go on the field. Pull it up on the board, bam. There you go. When you go out there and you got the drill set up and you run it, like a down block roulette, as I call it. What is that? You got to get the book. So if you want to try it out, hit me up at siegel.chip@gmail.com. Siegel.chip. It's all the way through this video. Don't worry about writing it down. It'll come up again in a minute. And hit me up and say, Coach, I want to try the offensive line manual. I'll send you the ebook. Okay. If you want it, you pay me. I got the ways to pay me will be attached to the email I send to you. and then and give me your address, and I'll mail you the paperback. So you have something to highlight and mark up in, and then have something to present to the kids as well. And just like it was on the system manual. If you don't want it, you just delete it. I trust you. That's just what I've lived my life, trusting people until they give me a reason not to. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel right now. Right now, go ahead and click on subscribe. It ain't going to cost you a thing. You won't get any kind of spam. I promise you, no strings attached. But you will get access to over 60 free resources made available only to subscribers to the channel. So also, while you're subscribing, click on like, and when it's over, share it. Say, man, this cockeyed fool, he's got some good stuff. He's a nut, but he's got good stuff. Share Coach Chip. Go over and check out the podcast. It's a little different. It's all audio. It's not like some podcasts where it's video. I wanted to keep my YouTubes and my podcast separate. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you catch podcasts. It's unique in that, I have coaches from all over, college coaches, youth league coaches, and everything in between. And so go over there and check out the podcast. There's a new one comes out every Sunday morning. Okay, the last one was on the run game, which is these videos about inside run go along with that. All right, before we get started, let's listen to a word from our sponsors at JustPlay Sports Solutions and their wonderful JustPlay app. Hey, coaches, let me tell you about our partners over at JustPlay Sports Solutions. All the play diagrams on Football Talk with Coach Chip since the spring of 2021 have been done by the My JustPlay app JustPlay Sports Solutions created. You can find it at myjustplay.com. Team packages, individual packages, which is what I got. With the team package, you create your playbooks, you make scout cards, you can add video to the play so the diagram literally comes to life. The players get an app, they put it on their phone, so you don't have to print any more playbooks, any more game plans, any more scouting reports. And since players never go anywhere without their phones, their playbook is always with them. Contact my buddy Brad Rumsey at brumsey@justplayss.com, brumsey@justplayss.com, or call him by phone at 517-937-5433. Tell him Coach Chip sent you. All right, good. Welcome back, coaches. Please go over and check that out. All the diagrams you're going to see on these videos were drawn with the JustPlay play tool. And it's easy. I can do it. I'm an old man. When I was born, we didn't even have those video games that everybody loves. When I started, and if I can do it, you can do it. You young guys, y'all will be all over this stuff. And you bought it within a week. You could probably teach me something I didn't know about it. And go check out the guest coach series on the Wide Zone with Coach Brad Rumsey. He does a tremendous job teaching. It's a clinic session. It's an hour-long clinic session on the Wide Zone, but also he's using the app, the JustPlay app, and the play drawing tool. And you can see how he does that, and it's really cool. And it's great for just for game planning, having a playbook online, and it's saved for you. Anyway, I go too much. All right, this video is about the gut. And I already told you, some people call it the belly, the gun tee guys. And other coaches have other names for it. I was talking to my buddy Cody Collette last year, and he runs it. And I forget what he calls it. It's got something to do with the abdomen. So he's keeping it in the same part of the body, the gut and the belly. And you can see that it's similar to the trap from the previous video. But instead of trapping, we're wrapping. And we're turning out on the three instead of trapping. And again, it's not a gap down backer or gap scheme play per se. But notice what we're doing here. And it's one of my favorite A-gap plays because you can use angles. Again, if you've got that undersized line or that line that doesn't get a lot of reps, because they're also playing defense. That's why I think gap scheme is the best thing going for sub-varsity and small high school teams. When I say small, I mean numbers-wise, because the way things carry over from play to play. Well, notice with gap scheme, you pull a lot, so you got a puller. A gap scheme, you got a lot of angle blocks, down blocks. So notice the center's blocking back just like he would on power. Right. The guard is doing the equivalent of a down block, but he's doing it out. And the play side tackle here, I've got him stepping inside because I want to make sure we keep this joker out. And I really don't care if he runs his happy fanny up the field. I'm not doing a complete, gap flip or a gap hinge or a post hinge, but I'm making sure we're getting our head and shoulders in that B gap inside of him so we can turn out on him. And so many high school D linemen are water. They're going to take the path of least resistance. And when you give them this right here, they're going to take this right here. Y'all, I'm telling you, now there are well-coached teams that won't, but if you step down, they're going to step down with you. But it's just so often, especially guys, if you're coaching sub-varsity football, you give that kid the upfield run, he's going to take it. Hell, if he does, you ain't got to block him. Just tell your tackle release and go on to safety. Maybe he'll make a touchdown block because he ain't going to, this thing hits fast. It hits as fast as anything in the gun hits. It hits just as fast as the trap. And it hits just as fast as the inside zone. And because it's kind of a gap scheme play, he really doesn't have to read it like zone. So it may hit faster than zone because he knows he's going to run it in here, play side leg of the guard, play side heel, and that thing's going to bang right here or just outside, depending on the H's wrap block. And you said, I've got another video, and I'll try to find it and link it down below in the comment section, where I did a piece on this, where a coach from Wisconsin sent me a whole host of gut plays that they ran. I think they won the state championship that year and made a deep run. It's been a couple of years since he sent it to me. He saw me on YouTube talking about it, and we got to talking through email. And he said, I got a bunch. I said, send them on. I collect videos like some people collect stamps. I collect videos. I collect videos like the Kardashians collect husbands, except my videos don't get screwed up in the head afterwards. So he's going to read the H's block, F, H, Y, whatever you call him. And believe me, he can, as I was about to say, get in there. There's video to prove it. He can get in there. And we did it. And then this guy in Wisconsin did it. Kenny and all the people Kenny Simpson and all the people that use his gun T system, they run it, and that joker gets in there. Because, I like to put my H in here sometimes in the B gap, but even from out here at the wing, he can get in there. The spacing maybe looks a little different on the diagram, but he can. And the backside guard does a skip pull for depth and it's not a power wrap. It's much tighter than that. A power wrap may wind up over here or even out here in the A or the B. But he's going to wrap as tight as he needs to. So if it's against a true zero nose, it'd be over here. And against a 1 or a 2-eye, it'd be right here. And he's wrapping for the backside backer. And we off jet, in my jet book, we actually have him wrap for the play side. So when you do it two different ways, you can confuse them. So you have to be careful about that. And the reason why, when we initially started running this play, it was off the jet action. But now we run it as a standalone play. And you don't always, from team to team, you may not be as good at jetting as you would be. And we were counting on the jet taking him. I know I got my mic and my wheel flipped, y'all. I'm sorry, because I copied and pasted it. And I didn't flip them over. I apologize. But I don't know why I'm apologizing. You're not paying for this. And we were counting on the play side backer. We'd run gut when we saw him hauling booty to the jet. So you can use it that way too. It's a great, like 3rd and 3 play, 3rd and 2 play. Because I don't care if it's short yardage. If this dude ain't walked up, if he's back at linebacker depth, he is going to respect that jet if he does nothing but take a step or two. You're going to steal his eyes. And so, but getting him to vacate it and all that's an entirely different thing. But often we ran it and we would block the backside backer way the heck over here because they were running to jet. So the gut is one of my favorite A-gap plays, as I said. we always want to run it to the A gap. Now, there have been years we ran it to the B, where you can, and the pull gets a little wider, and it becomes a B gap play. But when we first started running it back in 14, 15, 16, were the first 3 years we did it, we called the play Georgia. G for Georgia, G for gut. And because we were right next door to Georgia. And we just called Georgia and let the quarterback call right or left when he saw it. Now, they give us an odd front where it's the same on both sides. It would be based on game plan, like we want to run it to this tackle or this DN. It's better to the right or it's better to the left based on personnel. Or we want to run it to the field or the boundary if they're in an odd front. But against an even front, we would just call Georgia, just call gut, tell him gut, check with me, and the kids would get the gut call, and the quarterback would make the right or left call when he saw what the defense was in. And so it's it's really a cool thing, and we did it to begin with a young quarterback. He was a 10th grader when we put it in. And eventually we just got where we just called it because we were running it off jet, and we didn't care. All right, now here it is against the odd. You know, when I do odd, I always do it versus a 3-3 or 5-3, whatever you want to call it. Because in my opinion, if you can block a 3-3, you can block a 3-4. I believe that. Now, if it's true fours and your tackles can dig them out, have both tackles dig out the DNs. Okay, I'm going to show you what to do if they get in tight front or a mint front, whatever you want to call it. Because years ago we ran this different. I started doing it the way I'm going to show you long before I ran gut, but I'll show you how that happened. And notice we still got our angles. I've got him stepping back because anytime he blocks back on an odd, he steps back kind of flat looking and then climbs to the backer. The play side guard is going to block down on the nose. There's your angles again. And then the backside is going to wrap to Mike. And he knows he's got Mike in the odd front. And you notice it hits the same place. It's play side heel of the center. It is a true A-gap play. And like I said, you got your tackles cutting off the DNs. You know, you may want to scoop on both sides, you know, a low scoop coming across, getting your outside ear hole on his inside, on the inside of his inside knee. Same over here, outside ear hole, inside, but just keep them from getting inside. Don't let them squeeze that joker down. And you notice it hits just the same. And you can climb right here to Will and read the backside DN. You can lock on the DN like this and read the backside Will to run RPO to the backside with that slant sit that we love so much. Now, here I changed it and I put them like in what everybody's calling the mint front now. Some people call it tight front. Years ago, I'm talking about years ago, y'all. We're talking almost 40 years ago. We did this. We didn't call it gut. And we didn't even run gut. We didn't run that wrap. And this is like a few years before I learned gap down backer. And so when we put the gut in like 30 something years later, 30 years later roughly, I remembered this, that we had done it back in the 80s. It was my first or second year coaching. I was coaching O-line at a small school, and we played a team that ran. Remember, I said it was the 80s. So 86 is when the Bear defense became popular with Buddy Ryan and the Bears. You know, that great team they had that year. They just lost one game, and they won. Many argue it may be the greatest, you know, except for that one loss. But this team was running something like a Bear front. And I looked at it back then. We didn't have film. We had just gone over to the video, the VHS. And I was looking, I said, holy cats, man. And the head coach, he called the offense, but he was really cool with me tweaking the offensive line because he really didn't know offensive line play. He was a whale of a coach, but he didn't know offensive line play. Great play caller, great motivator, great organizer, but not so much X's and O's, especially with the offensive line. And I put this in. And we actually swapped the guards and tackles. Back then we huddled because I wasn't in charge and I didn't have a choice. I believed in no huddle then because I was right out of college. I was probably more into it then than I am now because I was right out of college and we were no huddle. I've told you before, we were no huddle at Troy when I played. And so we literally coming out of the huddle just nonchalantly to make a big deal out of it. And, you know, back then everybody swapped strong side, quick side anyway. So if they did see that, it wouldn't make sense to them, the defense anyway. And we just did this. So the tackles, the guards were used to pulling because we ran trap, we ran power, and we ran counter. And the guards were used to pulling. So this was an easy block for them. Now here's the proviso. Here's the big what if that I've run into in the last 15 years, 20 years since we started doing gun stuff. Putting your best snapper at center who's not necessarily a great lineman. And we were fortunate. We had a kid that he doesn't have to be able to block his butt off on this, but he's got to be able to stay with him. And we just tell the center, when we call this play, we don't care where he goes. If he goes left, you just take him left. If he goes right, you just take him right. You just got to stay with him, and we'll read your block. Because notice we're basically blocking it the same on both sides with the tackles. You know, we want it to hit to the right, and and we would have our center like on the right one step with his right foot, giving the nose the left, and just kind of turning him a little bit, and just stay with him, and we're good. We ain't got to knock him off the ball. But if you got a center that can do that, this is a very doable play versus a mint front, because everybody pretty much says, well, we can't run inside versus a mint or a tight or a bear. They're taking that away. We're going to have to run B gap and wider. If you've got tackles that can fold and a center that can just stay with the nose, you got a chance. Okay? And it's not bad. I'll try to find some film of it. I know some teams do it, but anyway. All right, right at 20 minutes again, just like the first video, the one that was on the trap. Opportunity to support Football Talk with Coach Chip at buymeacoffee.com/Coach Chip. Go to buymeacoffee.com/Coach Chip, and it's really easy to do. I know you can do it because I set the cockeyed thing up, so you know how to do it as well. Be sure you follow me on Facebook and on Twitter. I'm at Chip Siegel on Twitter/X, and on Facebook, it's Football Talk with Coach Chip. That's the way it is. Be sure you subscribe and get access to the over 60 free resources available to you. You subscribe. You say, hey, Coach, I'm a subscriber. You know, with a screenshot where you did it. Can you send me this, this, and this? And it's free. All you got to do is subscribe. And also, I'm available for in-person or Google Meet clinics, consultations, and installs. Why learn from your mistakes all the time when you can actually learn from mine too, and it's not going to cost you anything, and nobody knows about it but you and me. So I'm just an email away, siegel.chip@gmail.com, and you can learn from my mistakes. I wish you could talk to the guys that I've talked to, emailed with, talked with on the phone, did Google Meets with, and say, yeah, I brought this up, and he said, yeah, I did this. Or this is what happened when I did it, or we tried it and this happened. So to avoid that, do this all the time. Because guys, not just 40 years of experience is an email away. 40 years of mistakes are an email away. So learn from Coach Chip's mistakes and give me a holler at siegel.chip@gmail.com. All right, we're going to be sure you go check out the podcast, the one about what should you carry in the run game. That's what this video and the one on the trap grew out of. And also be sure to watch the next video, which is on the classic from the old school. We're going to go old school in the next video with the lead ISO. All right, y'all. Until next time, be elite.